walking towards the Mausoleum at the cemetery park. I've never been in the Mausoleum before. I'm told it's a wonderful place. A lot of families, especially Italian families, that are interned here. Ahead of us is the chapel in the Mausoleum. And along the walls, which are done in polished marble, are families, like over 2,000 people that are located in here. And now you're about to meet two people that have been very much involved in the whole cemetery project. We have Wendy and Heather, and we're going to just have a quiet chat here, catching up with each other on the background of the cemetery project with AFHS. That we're in the Mausoleum. My first visit here, and I don't know anything about it. Would one of you like to tell the audience a little more about what is the Mausoleum and what does it mean?
Why don't you? You've got more of the history of it.
I think you stumped me, Jim, because I am not sure the date that the mausoleum was erected. It was a very popular choice for many citizens, I think primarily Calgarians. And it is a very peaceful building. It has, you walk in and you feel a bit of awe at the individualism that you see on the markers, and likewise in the outdoor cemeteries, but you are noticing a distinct difference because the marble is what is used here, and you will not see many gravestones of marble any longer. And the longevity of this building and the crypts that are here will last forever, where certainly we know time erodes many of our markers from outdoor ground cemetery.
Okay, thank you.
It's just gorgeous.
Another question. We're now into the wide, wonderful world of websites.
Yes.
What impact has that had on your cemetery project?
It's allowed us to bring the results of our research and the photos we've taken to a wider audience for no cost. Anyone can search our records and look at our photos and discover things they weren't aware of before in their own family history or local history. What happened to my neighbor so-and-so down the street, and what happened to the kids I went to school with, that sort of thing. You can look that all up now, and that's amazing.
It's a great communication tool. It truly, it's very satisfying and gratifying to the volunteers. I mean, all volunteers really ask is that they be appreciated for what they have done and shared. So on that note, it exposes our genealogical society, which I think is good. It's very easy to send a message using a computer these days or a phone, and you can facilitate your research even more. And it's a way of reaching not only Albertans, but anyone in the world.
Are you contacted by families about burial information? Are you contacted by other genealogy societies for either assistance or compliments or cooperation, or is there any kind of a loose network of, you know, the people in Edmonton, you know, the people in Ontario that do that work?
In early days, yes. In early days, it was, we received a lot of email messages. Not too many snail mail messages went to the library, but a few. And all of that communication was responded to. But again, that is a tool that isn't used so often in our current time period because the wonderful wide web and our
You can look up so many things.
that's
now.
right. And you don't have to be an expert researcher to basically access it, but it is still a marvelous tool to have that website there because it in its own communicates with so many people that we wouldn't know about otherwise.
We do get contacted by people from time to time who are wanting their family researched because they've recognized a name and they're curious, is that one of theirs or whatever, or they're wanting advice about how to contact who's managing that cemetery, and we help out with every request we can.
Mabel Kiesling, excuse me, Mabel Kiesling is another volunteer in our organization who has responded to many of the more snail mail contacts.
And email now.
Yes, and again, it's not, some of the researchers don't realize the size of Alberta, and so do not realize that Calgary and Edmonton are a few
They're
miles
not next
apart,
door.
or Innisfail, or Brooks. So again, the camaraderie that AFHS has had with the Alberta Genealogical Society, communication flows back and forth. You know, if this belongs in your jurisdiction, Brooks, Medicine Hat, Edmonton, Penhold, then forward it to them.
You two are able to witness history in this province. What comes to mind is the Crow's Nest Pass, Frank, Alberta, the Turtle Mountain tragedy, and that there was just a mass of people buried, some under 100 feet of mountain rubble. There's mine explosions. There was World War I, and you have military sections. World War II, military sections. And you also have things like the Spanish flu that would cause a loss, especially of children. Do you want to talk a little bit about how history impacts what you're doing?
Well, you certainly do. Again, I'm going back to the early manual recordings that we did, and you saw, again, many of the markers were single names on them, and you saw evidence of what was taking place in that locale at that time, such as maternity complications,
Yes.
early childhood deaths, just because there wasn't the knowledge, the doctors, the staff. And again, when you ran into the Spanish flu, the polio epidemic,
Cholera, typhus.
all of those
Yes.
things, and interspersed amongst all of that are always the career injuries and deaths that occurred. And in the earlier years, Alberta was a huge province, but less populated than it is now. And so you will see a very, well, I will use the term a lonely marker that, you know, the family has moved on. But again, the community steps up. And they care for that marker
Yes.
as much as those that remain in the community.
So,
Wendy,
yes.
how small is too small? What's the smallest cemetery or family plot that you have recorded?
One single person. One single person in a lonely location somewhere.
What sort of a marker did that one person have?
Sometimes not even a marker that had survived, perhaps just a record, an obituary, something like that, that tells you the story of this person. And we do have a lot of small cemeteries we have done, and we have concentrated on those smaller cemeteries a little bit the last number of years, thanks to John Cassin's going out and getting all of these photos.
He's wonderful.
And I just wanted to add to what Heather was saying is that the early AFHS volunteers and the modern ones to a big extent consider themselves historians when you're talking about history, that we weren't just recording names and dates and places, we were recording the history of Alberta and the people who lived their lives here.
Period.
Yeah.
You also have, in some families here in Calgary, 2 generations, 3 generations that are buried in the city. There's a string of some families here, and then there's the newer arrivals as well that have started their lives for their children and grandchildren in the city. And you have the records now for them to know about their family.
Well, to know that AFHS started off with roughly 70 rural cemeteries and then approached the larger cities and we documented those as well. You really do see a lot of change. You do see the traumatic events that occurred in those places. The most beautiful thing to me of all the cemeteries I've worked in, they are all different and they are all unique. They are not like one another. And rural cemeteries rarely have identifiable roads. So when you're first documenting them, you don't realize that there were large family plots because in order to approach it in a manner that you don't miss somebody, you would just start at one end and go to that end, and then you might wrap around or you might go right back. Some are more directional. But again, you didn't realize until you started reviewing and the names started, similar names or identical surnames presented. So where Calgary's urban cemeteries here, they're definitely in sections, they're definitely in rows.
The other thing I suspect, especially in rural Alberta, is some of the markers would have cattle brands on them and ranch names and so on. You want to talk a little bit about some of the unique identifications or symbols for the families that you see?
Well, early on, again, in those first rural cemeteries that we did, you did not see a lot of personalization on the marker. I think partly because of the material that was used for the marker, and partly because there wasn't the experts for that kind of engraving. I mean, many of those wooden markers were chiseled in the information that was placed on them. So then as time moved along, you began to see more personalization. You began to see some humor on the markers. You noticed affiliation with organizations like Eastern Star, the
Masons, the Oddfellows, the Rebeccas,
all of those groups that take place in our world and in our societies, those were recognized. It gave you another clue as to what that individual had associated himself or his talents may have laid, his or hers. And you will see the women being shown as knitters, quilters.
Yes.
All of these unique things. You will see humorous masks put on a marker because they obviously were wonderful, funny individuals that had a great sense of humor. So it is just so unique, and you're just never bored.
So, from each of you, come up with your favorite cemetery, the one that you like to go visit, the nicest landscaping, most interesting burials, or communities that are nearby. What cemeteries would you suggest to people to go visit? And then what are some of the funnier things that you see, or peculiar things that you may have seen along the way?
I don't think I can identify a special one, in the sense I just thoroughly loved the individualism that each cemetery presented. So rural cemeteries are special to me because I'm from rural Alberta. I appreciate the city cemeteries also because you see such a wide range of cemetery grave markers, right from very simple to very well adorned ones, and they're fascinating to see and appreciate how each family has remembered their kinfolk. So no, I really can't say, but your reference to the Crow's Nest Pass, and well, we documented the cemeteries together down there a few years back, and I've made several trips down in that area simply because my background, I had grandparent and father that were coal miners. So I'm fascinated with that area, but that gripping tragedy overwhelms you when you come to a cemetery that has so many buried there and not with a marker.
Yes.
Yourself, Wendy, so many cemeteries you have visited. Which ones come to your mind?
In the city, my favorite is probably St. Mary's, partly because I have a baby brother buried there, but also I love the peacefulness of it. It's away from the road enough that it's quiet, lots of trees. It's a pleasant place to wander around. I do have a special love with rural cemeteries like Heather does, partly because I feel we can discover so much more there. We look for, in the rural cemeteries, we look for who doesn't have a marker.
That's right.
That's very important. We want to recognize everyone who's in that cemetery, whether they have a marker or not. And perhaps families couldn't afford to put on a marker. Perhaps families moved away. Perhaps it was just a simple wooden cross that deteriorated, or sandstone that got worn down. Maybe the marker, there was a marker and it gradually sunk below the surface.
Yes, it deteriorated.
They did that too. And those people tend to be forgotten. And so when we research a rural cemetery, we look for local area deaths. We check for obituaries. We check to see what we can discover about the people who have been forgotten over time because their marker didn't survive. And so that's special to me too. For funny markers, I'm thinking of, there's one here at Queen's Park that's a footstone, and I can't remember the person's name, but the footstone says, "I told you I was sick."
Yes. Yeah.
And there's another one that just came out recently, and it was nicknames as well. And her nickname was Charlie, and his nickname was Snarly.
Yes,
I love that one.
Yeah.
Can you think of any funny ones?
No, but I was going to say a unique cemetery to me is Union. It has the combination of the terrain, for one. It's hilly.
It's a challenge.
And so the types of markers have certainly experienced trauma in the weather that Calgary has, the climatic conditions. And yet, you know, there cannot be many close family relatives still alive for a lot of these graves, but they are maintained. And it is a walk through history to go to that cemetery, both in the names. They started, it's one of the cemeteries that will often say where they were born, and of course they've died in Calgary. And you can somewhat imagine a journey that their life might have given them. Lots of details. You're just flooded with details when you go to Union.
And Union, along with other older historic cemeteries, I just want to add that the city deserves a lot of credit for maintaining these cemeteries.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
often there's no family members around anymore,
No.
you know, but they will maintain these cemeteries. Whenever we happen to see a marker that is toppled in Union because it's on a hill or whatever,
Yes.
you know, and we report it,
Back in
they'll
the
get
back.
it straightened out.
Yes.
They've just embarked on a successful second round of gravestone rehabilitation at the Chinese cemetery.
Yes, the Earlton.
Yes.
I saw the
And,
article in the paper.
so there's just been, I think there's been a total of maybe 340 graves
Yes.
that the stones have been repaired, laid flat so they won't deteriorate any further. And it just is so pleasant there, because before markers were falling over and lying flat. And it's a wonderful testament to the work the city does in
Yes.
maintaining these places.
Absolutely.
I have some personal comments I'm going to add here, if I may.
By all means.
And once I get the camera on myself, there we go. So I also have a connection with Queen's Park Cemetery. My parents are buried here, and my grandmother is also buried here on my father's side. And I also have a couple of aunts, a cousin, and another cousin that are also buried here. But also with the society, Ron Gilmore and I did a presentation actually earlier this summer for Historic Calgary Week, and we talked about some of the more famous citizens and notorious people that are buried in Calgary. Did you know we have the world's tallest man
Yes.
buried here? He was passing through on the Barnum and Bailey's circus tour. We have one of the owners of the bar of the Grand Hotel in Calgary, which was co-owned also with the Sundance Kid. We have two people buried in Calgary that were survivors of the Titanic disaster. These are fascinating stories. So it's even worthwhile coming here. If you don't have somebody buried here, you might find something fascinating, interesting. Some of the earlier pioneers, like Prince and Colonel McLeod, and there's so many more out here as well. So there's a fascinating connection here you can have. Even if you don't have somebody personally buried here, you'll find all kinds of little snippets of history of the city that comes through from the cemeteries.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Rattlesnake Pete too.
Yes, Rattlesnake Peak. Our grave is here in Queen's Park.
Well, we are booked. My wife and I are booked to join my parents
Yes.
when the day comes. We
Yes.
got that all laid out, and it's actually
Arranged.
down in a little gully area. There's a babbling brook that passes through very close by.
Section K.
Beautiful spot.
Yes.
I might not get out of the gully if I go here in winter.
Yes.
So what do you see for the future? Is the project now maturing? It's now starting to run out of options. Is it time to fold up the field cameras and so on? Or is there still a quest to go out there and find yet one more
Oh, I
cemetery?
think we should continue it. Well,
There are, I currently have, I'm guessing it's about 30 cemeteries that have been photoed that need to have spreadsheets prepared
Okay.
to be added to Alberta Ancestors. And we have quite a number of volunteers who love to go out to the rural cemeteries and photo things. So it's not reached full capacity
I
yet.
do not see it coming to an end at this point.
No.
You know,
I
because there
think
is
so.
birth and death still in our lives.
Oh, yeah. I think it's wonderful for the field crew to get to know rural Alberta.
It is
Little
fun.
towns, see coffee shops, lunch.
Yes.
Oh,
books.
absolutely.
Yes, we always have fun on our field trips because we carpool down there, we do our thing, then we go for lunch, you know, what's not to like. Gab all the way home again. You know, then the hard work comes later, putting it all together and getting it onto the website.
I can tell you, photographing in the mausoleum is a challenge
Yes.
compared to photographing in the outdoors.
Why is that?
The marble and the glare,
Yes.
Yes, glass fronts and marble fronts and the
and
reflections.
the adornments,
Mhm.
they reflect a lot. So we have some very, very talented volunteers that have overcome these challenges. So again, kudos. The society is very, very fortunate, and
Yes.
the volunteers view themselves as just ordinary, and this is something important to them personally to
Yes.
do.
Well, one thing to
Contribute.
note on that is it's 2025. In 5 years' time, the society will be 50 years of age,
Wow.
1980 to 2030. So that's 50 years of cemetery hunting and digging
Wow.
and record collecting. So that's quite a wonderful milestone that's coming up on that. Mind you, this
Yes.
year's also the 45th anniversary.
Yes.
But it's going to be a larger cake when we
Yes.
come into
Yes.
2050.
What year did you join? Do you remember?
I don't know the year that I joined, but it was mid-80s.
Mid-80s. Okay.
Yeah. And immediately signed up with projects, cemetery projects, and but all our neighbors and friends have known me as the grave digger, you know. And they don't share that interest somehow, you know. So
Yes.
I was always a joke option.
I was too when my kids were growing up, you know, because their mother's claim to fame was she was interested in dead people.
Yes. So it
And
is.
when we go out on our road trips, we call ourselves the Graveyard Gang.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's a better term than grave diggers, personally. But anyway, I hope that gets deleted.